Hi, I'm Bob Rubart with the Oracle Technology Network, and my guests today are Jeremy Ashley and Dr. Andrew Sutherland. Dr. Sutherland is a Senior Vice President of Technology and Systems for Oracle in Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. And Jeremy Ashley is Vice President of the Oracle Applications User Experience Group. Gentlemen, welcome.
Hey, Bob.
Hey, Bob. How you doing?
I'm good. Tell me about this event that you people are participating in. This is the Experience 2015 event. This is put on by the Oracle Benelux User Group. It's being held in Eindhoven, Holland on the 24th of this month. What can you tell me about what goes on there?
This is really the OBUG, the Benelux event. And we've attended it quite a number of times with the user experience team over the past few years. This is really where many of our users, our partners, our customers come to really understand a lot about what Oracle is doing in a number of areas, also to be able to really share information with each other, meet other people, meet other practitioners, share best practices, go to sessions that have broad appeal to all the folks. These user groups, of course, are around the world, but we've actually found that the Benelux one is very, very interesting, really just geographically where it is.
Isn't that a fantastic name, OBUG? I think it's one of the most exciting names of a user group we have around about the globe, and over the last 20 years, the Benelux User Group...
It sounds like some kind of car, doesn't it? OBUG.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you know, it's as innovative, Jeremy, it's as innovative as well. Over 20 years, the OBUG group has showed itself time and time again to be innovative. Did you know there is more Oracle software per head of population in the Benelux than any other group of countries in the globe? So this is one really not to be missed in terms of sheer density of Oracle knowledge and Oracle people.
So, so what did Jeremy miss in his recounting of what's going on there?
Jeremy described very well what's going on there, but maybe you know what's to be missed is this is one of the first ones where we're really seeing the shift of all the exciting technology to do with mobile, social, user interaction, and so on, moving to the space of the enterprise. Because I don't know about you guys, but you know, for so many years as a technologist, most of the fun that I've had with modern technology has actually been as a consumer. And yet my life is spent in the hard work of enterprise data management, enterprise information management. Here we are doing all the grunt hard work of huge volumes of data being moved around by professional individuals securely and what have you. And all the fun seems to be happening in the consumer world. But what OBUG will be doing is making sure that we can see how all these sexy new technologies can actually be applied in our professional and enterprise lives as well. We'll be showing examples of that, showing demonstrations of that, and talking about that throughout the entire session.
They're very, very good points. And the reason that, again, I agree that it's exciting is that, again, we get a very diverse set of people here. And the other aspect is that they are asking those questions nowadays. Really, over the past 10 years, there's been a lot of changes, but it is like, so why can't it just act like this? Why can't it act like that? I'll be honest, actually, even the levels of patience with interaction have declined significantly with many of these new devices and things that many of the users are using. It's really, you know, after 2 or 3 interactions or clicks down in them, they're starting to get bored. I actually believe, you know, and Andrew and I have chatted about this, that really it's that convenience is going to be the new leading edge factor. The convenience of being able to get to your enterprise system, get information into it, get information out of it, the system being able to really streamline your interaction with it to as slim as possible.
What will you gentlemen be talking about in your keynote? Andrew?
We're going to make sure that we show how Oracle in particular is bringing these new technologies to the enterprise space. We're going to show, particularly focusing the area of user experience, because so much now in design, so you have to think from the user back. We used to think many, many years ago, here's the data and we'll make only what we need to available to the user. Now we need to think, how is the user going to experience this entire system? Start there and work back. And that's where you start thinking about how simple can we be, how can we make sure that everybody can access it wherever and whenever they can. Of course, we need to make it secure and so on. All of that stuff Again, it looks so sexy in the consumer world, and it's relatively easy in the consumer world, dare I say. But we're going to start talking about how you bring that into the enterprise world.
Jeremy?
Well, actually, to extend on what Andrew's saying, I would agree. It really is. Actually, the one bit I would disagree is it is perfectly possible to do in the enterprise space, and
possible.
We're actually kind of proving that at the moment with much of the work that we're doing. I think that in the past, enterprise systems have been seen as these very complicated systems. They really kind of support what the company needs to do, and the actual end users themselves have been secondary. The real value is how it works with the corporation. Now those expectations really are very, very different, and the types of experiences they have, many of our users don't even think they're using computers anymore. They're just, as Andrew says, they're using consumer, basically communication devices. The whole infrastructure has changed over the past few years. Very, very basic things. Like, we no longer just use one device during our day, we use multiple devices, and we expect to get the experience on those devices and between those devices. We're no longer really, honestly, really tied to our desks anymore. Everything is a lot more flexible, and it's really looking at those human behaviors. We have to really follow how people really work in their days, rather than forcing them into a structure of coming down and working within a rigid business process.
So it's safe to say that this is largely being driven by the whole bring your own device movement, that clearly it's up to the enterprise to catch up with the expectations that consumers have based on the devices they're using.
I would modify that and say it's bring your own devices. So consider all the things like, come on, both of you guys, I bet you use at least 3 devices on a daily basis: a phone, a tablet, and a laptop. And now we're seeing many more. So it's bring your own devices. That's the key. And
it's even further than that, Bob. The expectations now, as we see the workforce change around about the globe and in EMEA and in the Benelux Group, of course, people come with different expectations. Many of us, when we first arrived at our work, we'd be really surprised and delighted if the company actually thought to give us access to a laptop. Nowadays, you've got expectations. You might bring your own device, but you need to have screens that are customized to your requirements. You expect to be able to communicate with people who might know the answer to your question. Why would you try and work out the answer to a question if somebody already has worked out the answer before inside the company you now work for? How quickly can you get them to find out the answer, save you time and effort? You've got certain expectations that have been built up in the consumer world that you now have and the modern workforce now has in the organization. And frankly, for the bosses of organizations today, if they can't meet the expectations of these workers, they will lose the talent. They will go elsewhere where they can have their expectations met using these new technologies. The consumer capability is now becoming a necessity within the enterprise.
Clearly, both of you are very passionate about this. So what I'm curious about is, among the myriad of currently trending technologies, which of those do you see as having a real lasting impact? Andrew?
Oh, big data. We call it big data today, but really the concept of big data and analytics is going to significantly change the way in which we all function as individuals in society. You know, Bob, for the last 200 years, I'm an engineer. For 200 years, engineering has been all about making us physically better. I can only swim so fast, so technology has given me a boat. I can only run so fast, technology built me a car. I can only dig so many potatoes out the ground, technology gave us a tractor. It was there to help us physically. But the problems of the world today are less and less physical ones. They're more ones about knowledge, wisdom, experience. How do you solve these political issues, these environmental issues? And what we now need to do is actually bring wisdom, not strength, not physical strength. We need to bring wisdom to young people. So how can it be when I'm sitting in my office trying to support one of my customers or partners, how can I try and grasp the knowledge of the entire organization to optimize my answer? We need to have doctors that are actually only a few years out of graduation but can make decisions as good as 65-year-old consultants. We need to have people in call centers who can make decisions as good as somebody who's been in the business for 50 or 60 years. Technology can do that. So I know Jeremy will probably talk about other ones, but for me, The big data, we're only really at the start of that. Now then the question comes, where does that data come from? It's going to come from Internet of Things, it's going to come from mobile, and it's going to come from social. But if it doesn't get pulled together and analysed, in my view, it won't be giving us the value into society that we need. So big data is the big one from my perspective.
One of my core philosophies, we're actually directly aligned on this in regard to I see as technology and engineering being augmentation of our capabilities. Even just having a stick with a piece of slate on the end was just an extension, was hitting somebody. So all of it is basically augmentation. Big data, I agree. Essentially, the world, we actually respond to data all the time just as people, and we synthesize it in our heads. But really the levels of data from the sources that Andrew's talking about, including now Internet of Things and also many, many mobile devices that are very, very personal and get carried around with individuals and all these other areas, to extend on the big data, the big area that we look at is really sort of context. So quite correct, it's getting that wisdom. But the old systems, the old enterprise systems, they made you work to find out and search yourself and synthesize that wisdom yourself. You were just given reports, you were given raw data, you were given all this information. And of course, the interpretation of that information really does, just as people, rely on context. If I look outside, it's cloudy, it's probably going to rain. It's all about putting those clues together. So what we're looking to do as well is take that further so we can supply that wisdom to the actual end user so they can take action on that quicker. They don't have the massive burden of research. We already help them with the analysis of that research, not even the analysis, pushing the right information at the right time according to the context that they're in, based upon all these new interconnected technologies like beacons, Wi-Fi, all those types of things as well. So allowing them to concentrate on the results of their work rather than having to bring all that information together themselves in the first place.
And maybe using that technology that they're wearing and carrying in their pockets for something other than taking pictures of their food.
What's wrong with taking pictures of your food? That's good data.
Fantastic. Or their T-shirts, Bob. That's one of my objectives here, is to get rid of this one that says Berlin. I want one that says Eindhoven on it for the OPAG.
And I'm sure you'll be able to find one when you're there.
I hope so.
So basically, I love doing it because every time I go to Europe, and this will be with Andrew, I send a nice picture of my plates of bacon in the morning that I'm not allowed to eat at home. So, perfect choice.
All right. Well, gentlemen, this has been a lot of fun. Andrew. We should do this every day. But I've been talking with Dr. Andrew Sutherland and Jeremy Ashley. They are the keynote speakers at the Experience 2015 event in Eindhoven in Holland, coming up in a couple of weeks. Gentlemen, enjoy yourselves.
I think we will.
We will do. It's going to be spirited, I tell you that. Okay?
I believe it.